I thank the gentleman for the recognition and this sudden sense of urgency to address the financial stability of the Postal Service. But I would simply ask the body, where was the sense of urgency from our House Democratic leadership at the start of the pandemic? Look, I recognize in January this deal over in China was a bad deal. A novel virus, biologic behavior not known, not worked out. The Postal Service problems did not surface this week. They've been going on for years. But the Postal Service will not go bankrupt tomorrow, and yet you've called us here to vote on an issue that, quite frankly, is not going to get solved with today's activities. But I called on the Committee on Energy and Commerce last February to do hearings on this novel coronavirus. My requests were ignored and then subsequently dismissed because we had other important work to do: horse racing, flavored tobacco, ticket stubs, any number of things other than work on the novel coronavirus. But we could have provided support in the form of funding for vaccines and testing and more. We have done some of that in the short term since, but we could continue to support our nation's pandemic response in additional ways, which is why I've introduced legislation that aligns with legislation already existing in the Senate, where we could come together and provide our country with some of the critical resources necessary to fight this novel coronavirus. Unfortunately, the House Democratic leadership does not acknowledge or seem to even be curious as to whether or not they're up to the task. So this legislation provides $29 billion for the Public Health and Social Services Emergency Fund to develop additional medical countermeasures and vaccines. A safe and effective vaccine is the strongest arrow in our quiver to help society return to normal. Importantly, the bill would provide $2 billion for the Strategic National Stockpile and $2 billion for the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority for use in developing medical countermeasures. But you have to ask yourself, why is the business plan, as promulgated by the Speaker of this body, why is it antithetical to that development? Could it be because the nominee of their party this week in a very important speech promised the American people no miracle is coming? Is that because you're going to cut off the funding for BARDA, for the Strategic National Stockpile, for research on vaccines? Look, there are common sense bipartisan ways to help our nation and help our nation respond to the coronavirus. But House Democratic leadership has turned their backs on the needs of America. I urge members to vote against the previous question, allow us to debate and pass this measure. It is of critical urgency. Indeed, a miracle could be coming. I yield back.